himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Newhoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the round pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
To the back end of Phil Jocelyn, so there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. And Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, look at the toss. He haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such chopper. He's not second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Radical Race Series Round 5 of Season 24, Season 1 of 23-24, and we are live from the Tsukuba circuit here as well. The one that I've been waiting for on the calendar. We've got 16 drivers going to take part. It's going to be absolutely... I love this circuit. It is Tsukuba. It is absolutely amazing, and with 50-second lap times, going to be very fast and furious. I'm James Parfitt. I'm going to be joined in the booth today by Zach Sweeney. We've got no Mr. O'Leary. He's off in the Netherlands, stuck in somewhere. So it is Mr. Sweeney with me this evening. Let me have a look at the championship standings as they currently are, and it's Simon Edwards out in front of 182 points. John McHutchinson on 167, with Adam Ty on 125, tied with Mike on. David Walters in 5th on 112, with Paul Clark on 111. Paul LeMay on 108, and then Robert Woodward on 107. Michael LeMay in 9th on 99, with George Gonzaga in 10th on 94, tied with James Barry, also in 11th place. Phil Jocelyn on 93, with Ben Cooper on 86, tied with Luke Maxwell. Bill Glover on 84, Dan Webster 81, Jamie Bird on 80, and Leah Anderson on 76. Then on from there, we've got Damien G on 69, with Martina Ward on 53, and David Beasley on 51. Jeff McIntyre on 47, Graham Brown on 30, and Stuart Geddes on 28, with Paul Crabb on 21, and Aaron Thompson on 21. And the last 2 points scoring drivers, Colin Wynn on 21 and Jeff McRitchie on 19. Zach, welcome in, dear sir. It is Tsukuba. Oh my God, this is going to be amazing, isn't it?
GT Sport sort of in the shifter carts that you get, but oh my goodness me, is this a fun track. I absolutely love it. It's just tiny and it's twisty and it's tight and it's so much fun. It literally is a go-kart track, and yet these guys are taking some radical SR10s around it. It should be a ton of fun. Of course, this series, of course, the UK and I Radical Race Series, it's one that I do very intermittently, like one every few months or whatever, but it's a series that I love always coming back to, because the Radicals, they always put on a show, and I'm sure it's going to be no different here at Tsukuba, despite the fact that you can barely get 2 or 3 cars side by side.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're in cars that are literally made out of cardboard, it's going to be absolutely amazing. I just think the racing that these guys have on, the racing that they put on, this one is going to be epic. Like, I agree with Mike Bruce on in YouTube that there. Get your popcorn, because this is going to be a sight and a half. Why are you not here this evening, Mike? And Paul, mate. You're both not out on track. You know what I mean? You're missing out on an all-time classic circuit of SR10 action. And I just think this circuit is made for, you know, MX-5s, for Clios. We're coming here in the Clio Cup from the JPB. We've got all of these cut little small cars, and then we're bringing these sort of quite gruff cars here as well in the SR10s. It's going to be fast. It's going to be frantic. You know, we've got 17 laps for the sprint, top 10 reverse on the feature of 28 laps. That's how quick they are going to be done here, Zach. It's just going to be action end to end from beginning. It's got to be, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the thing is that it can go one of two ways. Of course, we have the exciting drama side of things that can come with a tight and twisty circuit, you know, like Tsukuba with these really fast cars that are the Radical SR10s. But we can also have the complete opposite of that, in the sense that it's almost too chaotic, that people are making too many mistakes, that there are too many crashes, that the gaps between drivers are almost too big as such. So the scale can definitely swing both ways in that regard. I hope that it's obviously on the previous obviously hope that we have of jumping all the way through, because it has got the recipe for that. These SR10s, as I'm sure everyone watching along will know, are really good cars. I mean, they've got aero. You can see that massive rear wing that they've got, but they've got a little motorbike engine in the back, of course rear wheel drive, not a lot of horsepower, not a lot of aero. They're just they are just the bare bones raw race car, rear wheel drive race car. That's sort of the step up from the MX-5, if you will. They still have a lot of capability to race, even sort of at the smaller circuits like Tsukuba, but they are able to have that variety. So yeah, 2 races. Let's bring it on. The trickiest thing of the evening, though, I'm going to say, is probably this open qualifying. Trying to put a clean lap in must be, well, tricky.
Yeah, well, they've all spread out quite well, and I think that's one of the things they've had to do. You can't really draft, I wouldn't say draft, because there is this back straight here that we're going down now, and Luke Maxwell, who has put it on pole on a 51. But they can draft, but I don't think they want to be too close here, because if somebody makes a mistake going up into turn 1 or through the twisties of 2, 3 and 4, they're going to be caught up in the back end of it, right? So they really need to not jeopardize their lap at all. So they've got to give a certain amount of space and just go for it. Edwards has just got onto pole on a 50.991. Sergio Dela Cruz is out there as well. He's sitting in 11th at the moment on a 52.327. I just think you're laughing, Mike, saying it's a classic. You are going to miss a race and a half because your tractor is out of faction. I can tell you that. You're 2 races, sorry. Yeah, because your tractor is out of power, Mike. That's what it is. Mike's from Somerset, you see. We don't have cars down here. We have tractors and sheep. So, you know, it's a bit of a step in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? Don't want to get point on my super license. I'll pass. Yeah, whatever. But this is just. I love this circuit, and I think this. I'm going to literally come off this absolute laughing, mate. It being absolute. What are they going to have to look out for, though? What are we expecting? Where are going to be the overtakes? Where do we think that's going to happen?
Well, I don't know, because the closest thing I can compare this to is, of course, the Irish Formula 4 as at Tsukuba this week, and that's a fair bit of carnage. They are getting moves done, though. Mainly, I'd say into turnable 1, but it's not really that long. Well, it barely is a straight at all. I mean, the longest straight here is the gap between corners at most circuits. So you're not really getting much of a run in order to sort of outbrake someone as such. But you can still move out, you can still go for a move. Also into what is technically sort of turn 4, the next hairpin. You can also get that done. Onto the penultimate corner as well, another hairpin. Even the final corner, sort of to an extent, maybe you could go for a move, but it's all about circumstance, really. And I think that is going to be the name of the game. There is no set formula to getting overtakes done here at Tsukuba, because every racer is different. They're all going to be braking at different points. These radicals, you know, they're not going to be braking overly hard anyway, so you can't exactly go for the textbook just outbrake them sort of maneuver. I think it is just going to be, as I say, more circumstantial and see, okay, driver in front's made a mistake, say like that one. They've made a mistake, but how can I capitalise on that? How can I find a way through? Put your foot down, drive past them, and just play the long game. Be patient.
Luke Maxwell there, 50.981. Simon Edwards on pole on a 50.779. 4.5 minutes remaining. We're just going to stay on board with Luke Maxwell here as he's going around that kind of somewhat banked curve here before we go left, and then we're going to go right. Quick flick to the right. Now we've got a fast left-hander. Can take it on the gas, but you've got to feather it a little bit, otherwise your back end's going to come round. Hold on to the brakes, we go for it, and almost another variation of a banked corner before we get this run into this last corner. We're looking on the left-hand side. You can see there that that's the tyre barrier. That's probably going to be the braking point. It is. Try and bring it in a lot closer. Get the late apex. Onto the gas we go. Run it out a little bit wide onto that fake grass on the left-hand side. Luke Maxwell, 50.861, up into 3rd place. James Barry doing a stellar job, sitting in 2nd at the moment, and Simon Edwards leading the way. John McHutchison out on track, the Scotsman, of course, here as well. He's managed to make qualifying, which is absolutely amazing. going to be setting a time on the board as well. I don't think there was any improvements. 52.716. He clearly made a mistake there, Zach, to be putting into a 52. But we've got Adam Ty, who is on green sectors on 1 and 2. Can he get them for 3 and 4?
Find out. Of course, he's got this very, very long right-handed to go. Got to be very careful, of course, on the pit wall on the inside going in. Very easy to tag that. On the right to the line, let's see what he can do. Up to 8th place, 51.1. Of course, you can see the lap times are very, very close. We've got, 1.2 seconds covering the field, and that's purely because there's less corners. It's a shorter circuit, so there's less time to make time up. So you will have close lap times, and to be fair, I'm really, really enjoying it. There you can see Clark going up into 5th place as well at 51.0. It's cutthroat stuff, but it's very intense stuff because it's the smallest of things that can make the biggest of differences.
Fully agree. Damien G, that's one of the smallest things that we're talking about that can make a difference. That's putting your back end around here as well. I remember doing knock heel reverse in these cars, and it was quite eventful, could we say. I think this is going to be even more eventful. I think this could be, one of these circuits. I'm hoping they're classics. I really am. I think side by side from turn 1 down to turn 4, the hairpin is going to be absolutely mental. If they can run side by side in these cars, and you can't even get 2 MX-5s through there, trust me, I've tried. And the guy, let's just say on the inside, decided that I wasn't going to get through, and I visited the barrier on the right-hand side. So, they've got to be a little bit sensible as well. That top 10 reverse, though, that's going to be the one that's going to play the part, isn't it? Because you're going to have the fast guys trying to come through on the slower guys here on a very short lap.
Yeah, you've got to be really, really careful and manage your space really effectively because, again, it's a short circuit. If you are stuck behind someone through just even one corner, that can detriment the entire lap time. I mean, even if you lose 1/10 of a second, that is the difference, of course, between 4th and 5th all the way down to 7th in terms of positions. And that's purely from just being stuck behind another driver. I have to say, though, no surprise is that Edwards is, to be 2.5 tenths quicker than second place at Tsukuba. That's mega. That is insanely impressive.
Yeah, he's second now in by the 5th, 6th lap if he can keep up the pace, of course. Here as well, George Gonzaga goes over the line. He's got some greens on the board, puts himself into 6th place. Everybody else, some other people are still out on track. James McRitchie is one of them. He is green at the moment in sectors 1 and 2. There is Edwards going slowly, so I'm going to presume he's going to be just about nearly done. They've got about 40 seconds, which some of them might be able to get through. The number 4 and number 13 on your track map on the right-hand side there should be able to make it. But let's see what James McRitchie can do. He's got a yellow in the sectors, but he puts himself into 4th place already. Absolutely stunning lap from James McRitchie there, puts himself up into 4th. This is sit back, like overtaking. I know, Paul, I know it's going to be risky, but I think they can do it. I think these guys, if they could do what they could do at any other circuit, I think they can do this. I think they can overtake, and I think it's going to be epic. I am so looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to this race all season long, and it better not disappoint here either. Simon Edwards is on pole with James Barry in 2nd, Luke Maxwell 3rd, and James McRitchie in 4th. On to the 3rd row, we've got John McHutchison and Paul Clark. They have had history of these two running side by side on the grid. That's going to make it very, very interesting. George Gonzaga and Jeff McIntyre in 7 and 8, and then on row 5 is Adam Ty and Sergio Dela Cruz. Row 6, Jamie Bird and Robert Woodward here, and then down into row 7, you have got Damien G and Phil Glover, and then you've got Colin Wynn and Alan Patterson, at the back here on row 8. It's going to be tough. It's going to be exciting. Got to sit back, and you've just got to marvel at this circuit, Zach. I think you've got to grab it bull by the horns, haven't you? I don't think you could be a little bit softly around it.
I think, yeah, you do have to punchy, but I mean, yeah, I see sort of both sides of the coin, in fairness. I suppose a smooth driving style is the way to be around here, but if you want to get moves done, you have got to be fairly aggressive. In some cases, again, it's a balancing act, because there are also going to be cases where people are going for silly moves. If you just play the tentative game and be cautious and safe, then you could probably fairly easily find your way 2-3 places up in the span of a corner.
Absolutely. So stay tuned, guys. We're just waiting for Colin Wynn and Alan Patterson if they are going to join us on track. It doesn't look like they are. We're going to be starting the race very, very shortly. Simon Edwards there out in front at the moment, and now we're up and running and underway, and it is Simon Edwards out in front leading the way into turn 1. James Barry's trying to get the inside line. Luke Maxwell tucked up right behind him as well. John McCutchinson is going to be swinging out too wide. This is the run. There's already an incident in the back. Paul Clark, Jamie Bird, Robert Woodward all had their incident. Too wide now with John McCutchinson and Luke Maxwell through turn 4 for the first time here, Zach. Everybody, near enough everybody had a good start. Some people not so much at the back.
No, unfortunately, there was never going to be smooth sailing. Of course, here at Tsukuba, they've got to be, on it from lap 1 essentially. But so far, so good for those out in front. Of course, Paul Edwards, no surprise that he is flying, and for him, his main goal has got to be to sort of secure that lead, stay calm, and sort of just consolidate it from pole position, hold on to it, try and build a gap if he can, but most importantly, survive lap 1. Take a look at what happened off the start. Well,
Paul Clark, George Gonzaga kicked it off. There was the initial contact. Then Paul Clark goes round. Then Jamie Bird's in there. There's nowhere for him to go. Phil Glover slots through the middle. Adam Ty also had a bit of a slide on as well. There was no fewer than 5 cars, maybe even 6 cars involved with that one as well on the opening lap. John McCutchinson sitting in 3rd behind James Barry. Luke Maxwell down into 4th at the moment. This is going to get very, very spicy with the 4 fastest guys at the top, including James Ritchie. So 5 really, before we've got a little bit of a gap back to Adam Ty, Phil Glover, Sergio Dela Cruz and Robert Woodward. Not a lot you could do with the start there, Zach. I think the 16 cars going into one corner. Somebody locks up and they end up pinching each other, and it all just goes kind of a little bit ping-pong.
Yeah, and it is as easy as that. That's why sort of qualifying matters so much around circle at Tsukuba. That's why Simon Edwards is having a really good job out in front, because he's got that transition, he's got clear air, there's no one in front of him to spin. So he's sort of in control of the most things in this race. He's not as much of a passenger to other people's mistakes. I mean, in fairness, James Barry could completely outbrake himself and go into the side of Simon Edwards. But yeah, a completely different kettle of fish is that mid-pack, where one small mistake, it essentially becomes a bowling alley into turn number 1. And if you're able to just ride the wave and dip your way through barely unnoticed, then happy days. But it is sort of just finding the cleanest path through, minimising that damage, minimising those mistakes, whilst also driving as quickly as you can, and it is a very difficult balancing act.
Absolutely. Robert Woodward here with Phil Glover in front of him. Phil's in the top 10. Robert's sitting in that pole position place for the reverse as well. They're going to be trying to go side by side. Phil's just got a straight line it, keep the gap, keep tight. Woodward hard on the brakes, didn't have anywhere to go there, and now has got to start trying to go again over Phil Glover. He's put him into the clutches of Damien G, mind you. So Damien G's got to go and try and get up to the back end of this. There's a big puff of smoke in front of us here as well as we go now into the second to last hairpin. Now we've got this run down this straightaway. Not very long though, Zach. It's not a long straightaway, but is it enough to get a move done? As we can see, Sergio Dela Cruz here with Jeff McIntyre trying to close up as well. McIntyre obviously in the Iron Brew livery, the Scotsman himself, with Sergio Dela Cruz tucked up right behind him.
Yeah, the pressure is on, and it's a very difficult piece of pressure to sort of to deal with, essentially. But yeah, obviously good job for McIntyre. Let's see if the Iron Brew fuel is powering him through here. It is lovely drink, is Iron Brew. So underrated as well. People knock it so much, but it is amazing. Someone at my work comes in pretty much every day with a 2-litre bottle of Iron Brew. It's an absolute banging drink. I'm sure it should ride McIntyre to maybe a second place, maybe even better. Here's Phil Glover though, leading a 4-car train that goes back to Gonzaga. There for 12th, so of course the fight for the top 10 battling on here. But as you say, really that long of a straight, and after it, I mean, he's only just changed down a gear, and that's because he got an ever so slight bit of understeer to bite it back for a later apex. It's not really an overtaking opportunity. I mean, there you can have a look into turn up 1, as you can see Damien P going maybe on Woodward, but it looks at best, and that's the tale of the tale when it comes to Tsukuba. You're not on the brakes for long enough to really make a difference.
No, you're definitely not. That's the thing. It's all got to be done on pace work. It can't be done on relying on the mistakes because they may not come from the people in front. Yes, we have seen a few, but it's not done often enough for you to gain massive positions. It's got to be all about pace. You've got to be later into the braking zone. You've got to be later early on the throttle. There's a spin up from Phil Glover. He's got it all a lot a bit wrong. Damien G's on the outside in front of us as well as we're going into this final corner now. George Gonzaga's going to try and nip up the inside. He is late on the brakes. That's what we mean. He's got to be later on the brakes. Yes, that one was done by a mistake by Phil Glover. And now Glover's going to come back at it. We're on the side here as well. They're going down into turn one now. Who said there's going to be no overtaking Paul LeMay? We have seen loads of it, and we're going to continue seeing loads of it as we're coming into the last 10 laps.
Yeah, the laps obviously do go quite quick. I mean, we're less than a minute a lap, so probably looking at only about a 14-15 minute first race, which goes by in a flash, especially when you just see that lap counter always going up, especially when you've got a driver as quick as Simon Edwards leading the way, because they're just going to go down even quicker. What's he running? 50.7. I mean, to be fair, he's matched by James Barry, who's not doing too bad of a job at keeping that gap under a second, so the top three not separated by too much. A little bit spaced out beyond that, though. I fear that is probably sort of a case of a shorter circuit. Small mistakes make big consequences with bigger gaps then being opened up, battles and incidents and things like that, attributing to larger gaps. But all in all, we've still got a fairly big pocket like that one. Woodward unfortunately going around losing not one, not two, but 3 places in the end, down to 12th was Damien Gee. That's what we talk about. If you want to climb up the order, then you've got to benefit off mistakes like that.
Woodward making a howler there as well. Jeff McIntyre looks like he's had a bit of a moment himself. What did McIntyre do here? And unfortunately for him, it's on the left-hander going round to the penultimate hairpin of the corner. There's that puff of smoke that we saw. Oh! That was Luke Maxwell, I think, with a puff of smoke. I got a funny feeling that was Luke Maxwell. We'll have another look. We'll try and pick up Luke here. There he is. Oh, he got it all wrong. I did say they've got to slightly feather the throttle around that corner to make sure that don't happen, Zach. And it did happen to exactly what I thought it was going to be there as well. You had to feather it. You can't full power it because that back end's going to come round.
No, as I say, these guys have got motorbike engines in the back. And with that, I mean, they're probably running, 273 100 brake horsepower, which in a car that weighs probably about 750 odd kilos or something like that. That's a decent power to weight ratio, and those motorbike engines will be producing quite a lot of torque as well, turning force to the rear wheel, so very easy to light them up if you're not careful. And they're not on the grittiest of tyres in the world, of course. Yeah, still racing tyres, but again, nothing like super sticky, but yeah, easy to spin these cars, and especially on the rear brakes as well, can be quite fidgety and twitchy, so you have got to be really delicate with how you drive them, even though they are a fairly entry-level sort of step into sort of the sports car world. They are still a very raw, difficult car to drive, and that it teaches you a lot of the basics. The trail braking, the throttle control. Really good car for teaching you that, but yeah, can bite you in the backside if you're not careful, especially in a competitive environment.
Oh, I got a funny feeling it may have bitten one Jamie Bird in the backside. There he goes, onto the gas too hard coming out of turn 4. That's you done, mate. I've got to be honest, you have chuffed your steering up there for Jamie Bird, and unfortunately jumped straight back to the pits. George Gonzaga and Damien G. Just to give you some stats on the car as well, it's 425 brake horsepower, Mr. Sweeney, and it weighs 725 kilos. So, as you say, it's literally a motorbike engine in the back on a very light chassis with a body whacked over the top to try and help it. It's like cardboard, one little slight dink or dent, and it basically bends up, as Luke Maxwell's finding out here as well. He's racing the JPB Leagues, and he's still racing with an SR10 attitude about the way the car is. Side by side, Damien G and George Gonzaga. Gonzaga's going to try and go around the outside of turn 4 through the right-hander of 5 now. He's got to slot back in again here as well, but I think that's one of the things that Luke Maxwell's finding doing the Clios to doing the SR10s. He's got to try and basically drive the Clios as a mini touring car and not like an SR10.
Yeah, and it's a very difficult adjustment to make. Of course, here's Damien G with Gonzaga Glover. Again, in this train, have to say I would not want to be Gonzaga at the moment, of course, in the middle of the 2, and also a quite slow exit off that final corner. Let's see if Glover can really put much of a challenge on. He's going to have a look, and I think that's the important thing here at Tsukuba. Of course, we've touched on the difficulties in overtaking, but you know, having a look, filling the rearview mirror, applying that pressure, playing the psychological game, forcing a mistake is what's going to sort of separate the good from the great. I mean, the good will wait for a mistake, the great will make one.
I agree here as well. This is the closest battle at the moment. You can see everybody else a little bit more spread out. They're trying to close in here. 11th place. Here is the run with Phil Glover just off that pole position for race 1. He's relying on George Gonzaga to cause a bit of trouble with Damien G. Wants this pole position, does Phil, but he's got to go after it. It's not going to be handed on him on a plate. Gonzaga's not a little puppy that's going to roll over with his legs in the air and get his belly tickled. Got to go for it as Phil. He's in that motion rig as well, so he's going to be feeling every single possible bump and bang and dip and everything possible in this motion rig. Got to now start going in a little bit later on the brake. Stop following Gonzaga. You need to brake a little bit later, carry a little bit more speed. Don't do that though, Phil, because his back end slipped up there as well, and you saw him come directly round to the left-hand side, and he's going to have trouble. He's got to stay closer though, Zach. I think that's the thing. To be able to get Gonzaga, he's got to be closer than what he is at the moment.
He has got to, and yeah, just close the gap really. But even then, I mean, if he closes the gap too much and then Gonzaga spins, then he's going to very quickly find himself into the back of him. If he sort of stays at a safe distance, then if Gonzaga, say, spins, he's got enough time to react. If he has a step out, he's then got enough time to, or enough of a gap to slingshot past him. Like that small mistake that we just saw there from Gonzaga. We saw an ever so slight bit of understeer off the exit of that final corner, allowing Glover to close the gap. But again, just no way through. The straights aren't long enough here for you to build up enough speed to actually, you know, slam on the brakes and sort of later enough than the car in front of you to get alongside. And it is a shame, but it is just single file. The track's not really wide enough. There's not enough runoff to really warrant or justify the risk of going for a very do or die move. But here is Luke Maxwell, as you say, making that adjustment, of course, between sort of hot hatches and rear-wheel drive race cars really, really nicely as Maxwell, and at the moment running on the podium. But McCutcheon is he's not going to want to let him keep it. Let's put it that way.
No, absolutely. McCutcheon's going to be wanting to climb over him as much as possible here as well, and I think that's the thing. Oh, Maxwell's made a mistake. Maxwell's just made a mistake there as well. McCutcheon didn't have to do anything to make that move. Maxwell did it here as well. A master of his own undoing on the power too early, and around he goes. He didn't let that car settle enough here, Zach. That's one of the things that we talked about. Getting on the power too early causes that problem. They've got to allow the car to settle down. They cannot do it. They can't. It's not physically possible. They've got to allow it to settle down. They can't get on the power too early because the wheels go up. Looking though, if this is the official this week, I am off to get my son's wheel after this. I want a piece of this in the SR10 because I think this is going to be awesome. Mind you, I might start from the pits, but I also think it's going to be pandemonium.
Yeah, probably not a bad idea, because you'd probably find yourself actually starting from the pit lane, probably still finishing fairly strong anyway, as long as you keep your nose clean. But yeah, I mean, if you are going to start a racer at Tsukuba, you either want to be right at the front or right at the back. Anywhere else in between it's just going to be a war zone. Yep. At least at the back, you've got space to control yourself with. Oh my goodness me, closing the gap. McRitchie, a little bit of understeer, carrying slightly too much speed through, but all is good in the end. And you can see the difference in line actually that McRitchie has taken. You can see really squaring off that corner, braking so much deeper in to try and get the exit out, but on the last lap already.
Yeah, Simon Edwards there as well. We've got to make sure we pick up the leader. It's not a very long lap here. Why I sit and look at McRitchie and Delacruz here as well. Got to pick him up at some point. He's just coming round. Oh, he's closed the door. Whoa! James McRitchie absolutely sent it on George Gonzaga there. We'll have a look back at that very, very quickly. Right now, you see him come from a mile away. He absolutely sent it. He forced his way through. He got his elbows out, Zach, and that's exactly how he did it. Simon Edwards is coming now down the final back straight here as well. He's going to take the win. Edwards is going to be in first. Barry's going to be in second. And McHutchison looking like he's wrapped up third place. There goes Simon Edwards. Over the line he goes. James Barry there. John McHutchison coming around the final corner as well. And that is basically what they had to do, I think. That is one of the things they definitely had to do here from James McRitchie, to get his elbows out, to get it through. That's what he did. He did it so well as well.
I mean, it takes two to tango, so of course it paid well that he was given space and allowed to go for that move. But all in all, when it comes down to it, you've got to go for moves like that, because yeah, it's that or you don't get an overtake done. He took a risk, he saw a gap, he sent the move, and the most important thing is that he was confident. He didn't shy away from it. He didn't get to it and think, oh no, and then back out. That's when mistakes happen. He was like, no, I'm braking later, I'm getting that position, and there's nothing that's going to stop me. And nothing did. He got that 5th place.
Absolutely, nothing did stop him there as well. Simon Edwards takes the win with James Barry in second. John McHutchison in third, Adam Tighe 4th, Jeff McIntyre 5th, James McRitchie is 6th, Sergio Dela Cruz 7th. Luke Maxwell did stay within the top 10 in 8th, with Damien G 9th and George Gonzaga, who's going to be on pole. Phil Glover is in 11th, Robert Woodward 12th, Colin Wynne down in 13th. Then we've got Paul Clark 14th, 1 lap down, Jamie Bird 8 lap down, and Alan Patterson take to the start. We haven't got long now, guys. They've got about a 2-minute warm-up here to go, so they're basically going to be into that. We've got 1 minute 20 here as well. Okay, I'll admit that wasn't quite the fireworks I was expecting, but maybe the feature with the top 10 reverse will give us a little bit more.
It's going to force their hands a little bit more. Of course, if you want to succeed, you're going to have to go for those moves, sort of like McRitchie did right at the end of race 1. But at the end of the day, I mean, again, it's not going to change the fact that Tsukuba doesn't really lend itself too well to overtaking opportunities. So even if you are quicker, still going to struggle to find your way through. But maybe that discrepancy in pace is going to open the door for some argy-bargy, for some mistakes, and maybe incidents that people can capitalise from. But the most important thing is that those sort of 10th, 9th, 8th, they've been given a really good lifeline, because we've seen how easy it is to keep track position here. They're a perfect opportunity to take a win.
Absolutely, absolutely. George Gonzaga into the most prime position to take the win, though, Zach, isn't he? Sitting on pole here. Got to get away and do what everybody else does. It's not a very wide track. If he makes it out in front, he surely might be able to survive, but possibly maybe not. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing. He's got to try and just stay out in front and get done and deal with it and get away. I think he's got to try and get away. If he doesn't get away, he could be in trouble. But we'll have a look very, very shortly here as well, as we're waiting for the practice. And here is the grid for the feature race. 10 laps now here. Not 10, sorry, 28 laps to go. George Gonzaga in first, Damien G second, Luke Maxwell third, Sergio Dela Cruz fourth. James McRitchie, Jeff McIntyre, Adam Tighe and John McHutchison round out the top 8. James Barry, Simon Edwards in 10th, Phil Glover and Robert Woodward. Then behind that you've got Colin Wynne, Paul Clark, Jamie Bird and Alan Patterson here as well, who we think Alan is not anyway. Will not be out on here this time around. From Gonzaga's point of view, it's important he does one job though, Zach, isn't it? Gets out in front and stays away.
That's the aim of the game. Good start. Hold off Damien Guy as best he can. And then just take the race from there. It starts from lap 1. Let's see how he gets on.
Here we go now. Oh, George has jumped the line. Jumped the start. Oh. He's jumped the start. Oh, George Gonzaga, he jumped the start. Oh. Maxwell gets an absolute fire. Gonzaga, surely he's going to have a penalty incoming for him on that one. He had the opportunity to take it to the lead. He had the opportunity to take the win. Surely he's got a penalty incoming. Everybody else made it through, at least this time down at turn 4. Jamie Bird go around the outside there as well, trying to take that position away from Robert Woodward, as it is Jeff McIntyre. Not a great start for Gonzaga there, buddy. Oh, McIntyre's off!
And not for McIntyre either. Just a little bit too much power on the exit, spinning the car around. But let's see if Gonzaga did it. I don't know. He didn't leave the box though, so does he still get a penalty? I mean, he should just drop the clutch too quickly. No, he is. He is coming in. It's race over essentially. It'll be so difficult for him to recover from that, to promote everyone up a position. Luke Maxwell then takes the lead of the race. He's got a 1.1 second grasp as well. That is a huge advantage. Well, it's down to him to keep it.
Simon Edwards is down to him now to try and stop him here as well. He's got to try and get through some of the traffic in front of him. Unfortunately, got Sergio Dela Cruz, got James Barry closing down, got John McHutchinson in front as well. The Scotsman's not going to give up here as well. The William Wallace of the SR10 not going to give it up. He basically make sure that Simon Edwards does not get through. John's got to try and take out as much space as possible, as Adam Ty made a mistake going into the hairpin. Now John McHutchinson's through, and now we've put 2 cars by him and Simon Edwards. That's got to be vitally important here, Zach.
Must be. Let's see if Simon Edwards can get the move done into the final corner. Not quite able to. He's carving his way through fairly nicely. I have to say, Simon Edwards. Not only does he drive good, he looks good while doing it. Last lap for Luke Maxwell, inside line for Edwards, but it's so tricky. Let's see if Barry can sort of try and negotiate his way through. And that's the thing, if Simon Edwards spends too long stalled behind Cruz, it's going to open the door potentially for Barry to pick his way back in front.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, John McHutchinson's gone off. Hutchinson's off. Oh, John, you've just chucked it all away. Damien G slid up, then John McHutchinson there. Not really any place for McHutchinson. No, Zach. Although I didn't throw him to the wall straight off, it really kind of wasn't his fault.
No, not in the end. Which is such a shame. Side by side here as well, by the way, with Cruz and Barry fighting away. Also, Tiger Gee for 3rd place around the outside. Nicely done if he's able to keep it as James Barry. He's got to keep the foot in though, and again it's the outside for turn number 1. But side by side still they go. Also ahead, Edwards trying to get himself into the mix as well to the outside of turn number 1 on time. But I don't quite think the space is going to be there. He's going to have to tuck in behind. Damien Gee keeps 3rd. Or is he actually, in fact, the launch back from Tiger's going to see him go back for 3rd place. But here comes Simon Edwards once again, catapults himself through. Then also in comes Barry to take 5th place. What a move that is, and an unfortunate turn of events, I think. Wow, what a bit of racing from these guys.
Yeah, Damien G just literally was far too there for me. Bird's got up the inside of Paul Clark. They're hassling each other. They're banging door to door here. Jamie Bird and Paul Clark, both of them. We've got the immovable object of Clark, and we've got the man who's going to pass everyone, Jamie Bird, going side by side. This battle could materialise here as well. We know how tough Paul Clark drives. He's very, very, very tough to overtake. Is he going to be even more difficult to overtake here as well? Oh, he's trying to squeeze Barry. Barry's gone late on the brakes. Clark's going to try this cutback here, Zach, as well. Great action from them two. James Barry, they got the move done over Paul Clark. Clark tried to squeeze him. Barry said, no, I'm coming through.
That's what we got to be. As I said with Richie's move in race 1. You've got to have that confidence about you. It's the second you start being half-hearted about things, the second you start doubting yourself is the second the mistakes start to creep in. If you just go, obviously with a reasonable mind, not launching it from a different postcode back and saying, yeah, I can make that, because that's just delusion. That's not confidence, that's just delusion. But if you have a confident sort of mentality about you, you can make moves, and that is half the battle, just telling yourself that you can get the car stopped. Looks like you will actually have a decent job of doing it. Let's see how Simon Edwards is in terms of his confidence and his pursuit of 3rd number place. Of course, Ty goes in a little bit deep into turn number 1, and it does allow Simon Edwards to have a peep to the outside. They've also got to be mindful of Barry in behind, Edwards searching for that gap on the inside, but the more that he seeks the gap on Ty, the more gaps he's creating for Barry to get involved.
Definitely. I agree, but Adam Ty's in a prime position here, mate. That's the thing. He's in a prime position to now just position his car in a very difficult way. To put this car, you don't have to drive ultra defensively. All he's got to do is just put it into a position that says, no, you're not having it. You're not going through. You know, he comes off here now. Go to the inside. Go to the inside. Don't let him through. Right, now you've got a difficult, no, don't do that. You've got a difficult job now for Edwards to get through. Here as well, keep it down through this part of the circuit. You can absolutely almost straight line this part of the circuit as well, if you're brave enough to go and try and have a go. He can't get through here. You're not going to run him out on the banking. Go to the right, last minute come to the left, straight over through you go, over the curb again. Now let it drift out. Keep to that inside line. Now open it up to the right-hand side. Go on to the right-hand side. Don't leave the door open. Otherwise, you're going to have a pink and purple car coming straight at you. And now he's survived again. Lap 7. We've got 21 laps to go. But that's how Adam Ty can drive without being ultra defensive.
Yeah, you don't have to be overly aggressive with it. You just have to be clever. And you're right. Go to the inside. Don't take any chances. I've been there, done that, and definitely got on the T-shirt for bottling in easy positions. Purely because I've looked over my shoulder, thought, nah, he's not going to go for that. Ladies and gentlemen, he does go for that. And you will very quickly fall victim to sort of just late sense, because they'll see your security and they'll say, well, that's a false sense of security, mate. You should have defended, because now I'm going to send it. And Simon Edwards, strikes me as a driver that isn't going to shy away from an opportunity like that. So you have to defend lap in, lap out, even if there's just that slight tinge of, nah, he's too far back. Because chances are he won't be. He will force that car to break even later. Of course, if he's a second back, then that's different. But Ty doing the right thing, positioning the car, not allowing even the slightest gap to open for Edwards, and in doing so actually is encouraging Barry to get involved, because he's leaving the inside open. However, Edwards is being so clever with his attack. He's searching for a gap, but here comes Barry to the outside. I have to say, Edwards, despite all of the defensive driving from Ty, he's doing a really good job of throwing in the defence, but here comes Barry to the outside.
Barry's trying to get around that outside line. He's now got to take extra lines that Ty is forcing Edwards to take. The way Ty is positioned the car, is forcing Edwards to try and take other lines, which the doors open for Barry to have a go. Ty keeps driving like this. There's no reason he can't hang on here for the next 19 laps. Going to be difficult, but he's got to make sure he buries everything. Get over! Got to come over. He's got to shut the door on him. Can't give him a sniff, because as soon as Simon Edwards a sniff or even a remote piece of nose up front, he is going to stick it in there. But this is what I mean. He's now forcing Edwards to make a different line that's going to allow Barry to come through. So Barry really is in prime position, because he can go at Simon Edwards. Edwards can't go at Ty because of the way Ty's positioned the car. Barry can go at Edwards because he's got nobody defending him.
Yeah, he can throw everything at this battle, really, from Barry. But all he'll do from doing that is put himself into Edwards' position, and then Edwards will be in Barry's position as such, in terms of their roles and their capabilities in this fight. Barry needs to be searching for a way to get them both in one foul swoop. Of course, that's not really, a likely thing to happen, and it is probably going to take some patience and some waiting. But that's going to be the best way that Barry can, get this third place, because all he's going to do, he's going to get past Edwards, then he's going to stall. Then Edwards is going to go for a counter-attack, and before you know it, Ty could well be a good couple of seconds up the road. The inside does open up, though, and Edwards does look for it. And that's the thing, is that Ty knows each and every single time he leaves the inside open, Edwards is going to fill that gap. So it's got to be something he's got to be mindful of. There looks to be the scent, but again, and as Twitch as well, Edwards maybe overdriving the car a bit too much.
Yeah, he's desperate to get through. That's the thing for Edwards. He's desperate to get through. So for him, he's got to try and overdrive and carry as possible, because he is so on the ragged edge to try and get through. Like George Gonzaga's got Jamie Bird and Colin Wynn. Colin Wynn's not been the fastest, but if Colin drives how Colin can drive, he could defend the hell out of this and make Jamie Bird fight for this situation. He can make Jamie Bird think, actually, I've got to try and go for this now, because Colin is in the same position as Adam Ty. He can just put his car in a position where he can't get through and is doing the same job. And that is what Simon Edwards, off the nose of Simon, don't do that. He's got to try and come in a little bit tighter on that corner. Give Edwards a sniff with his nose up there. Edwards ain't going to think twice about sticking it out there, mate. He will literally expect you to leave room if he's got alongside you, or even if he's got a remote opportunity of doing it, will go for it. So for Adam Ty, he's got to really think about his car position. Vital for car position. No reason he can't hang on to this for the next 6.
No, and it's down to him, of course, to do that, but there is no reason why not. We have also got a slight fight for the lead materialising. You can see McRitchie running at a slightly faster pace, well, I say slightly, quite decent fast pace of nearly 0.2 of a second quicker, just over 0.2 of a second quicker than Luke Maxwell, so look out for that fight at the front to close. But yeah, for Ty, if he just stays consistent, keeps doing what he's doing, and doesn't let that defence slip, there's no reason why he can't finish third place. It is going to be tough, and he is going to be under a lot of mental strain, but worth it at the end. Podium, it means a lot, and there's some decent points.
Absolutely. Colin Wynn is under a whole heap of pressure further back here as well. He's got Bird, he's got Clark, he's got Gonzaga here as well. Colin's only been back 2 weeks not had him in the SR10 series for at least a season and a half, maybe even a little bit more. Now got to try and get back into the car, get back to how he can drive. That top 10, that top 5, he's made a little bit of a mistake. JB Bird's going to try and run alongside him now. Now they're going to come into the final corner. If I was Paul Clark, I'd be tucking up behind Bird at the moment. Try and force Wynn to stay on that outside line. Don't allow him to do what exactly he's done. Slotted back in at JB Bird. He's going to be going at it again. Bird now makes a position. Clark comes out. He's going to look for the inside line. Don't expect space. Don't expect space. You can't expect the person behind to give you space. You've got to go and earn it. John McCutcheon and Sergio Dela Cruz are side by side as well. They're coming around turn 5. Now the McCutcheon's going to have the inside line here as well. Open up the stick rim, force Dela Cruz to think about going on the brakes. Now you've got a little bit of an opportunity to get a car in front. Didn't do it there. Dela Cruz is going to run on the inside. Again, going to be tough here as well. I don't want to miss this Ty Edwards battle. They're going side by side around the final corner. Edwards is looking for the slingshot. Clearly, here's Zach to try and make that jump into turn 1.
He's going to search for it. Space opens up and he gets to a point where Ty has to give the space, but there's the move to the outside for Barry. He's able to keep his foot in, but unfortunately not able to in the end. It is just too long of a way around, unfortunately, through turn number 1. And let's see into the next braking zone again. Same old, same old. I think Edwards just launches the car to the apex, hoping there's space. Whereas Ty obviously takes a more traditional racing line as such, and Barry is just trying to sort of be the balance between the two and make the most sort of the exit as such. But yeah, again, the difference in driving lines. Edwards more pointy and just aiming his car at the corner to limit the amount of turning he has to do until he gets there. There's the pull over to the right-hand side. Really harsh, it must be said. It doesn't really do much as such. I'm not entirely sure as to why he would do that. Maybe, surely it's got to be a purely psychological thing.
Maybe, or was it sliding? Natural trajectory of the car was taking.
Oh!
Barry. Oh, he's not going to hold it. Oh, he come from such a long way. Thanks, Barry. He gave it his all. He had an opportunity. Sent it through and he didn't quite get it to stick, but that has given Adam Ty a little bit of a break. He's given him 7/10 of a break. Colin Wynn, Gonzaga going side by side as well as they're coming into the right-hander into turn 4. Sorry, round through the hairpin they go. Gonzaga nearly turned in. They're going to be side by side now, coming through turn 5. The right flick here as well. Colin Wynn still settling in behind him once more. Gonzaga's going to have a go. Now watch this. Paul Clark is coming up the inside. If you do not shut that door, he is going to stick his nose in there, and he did do that. Colin Wynn had almost a little bit of the frighteners on him there, Zach.
Yeah, did definitely feel it. Now they're side by side. Let's see who's going to be the one to come out on top. Clark, of course, defensive into the final corner. Wynn trying to go maybe for an up and under, but no way through as of yet. And again, if you're on the outside into the final corner, much of a chance. Maxwell and McRitchie now began less than half a second as well into, of course, well, firmly into the second half of this race. 17 of 28, so they are going down thick and fast. Is the lap count. Nice to see that the battles are continuing all the way through the field. The battle for first, battle for third, then we've got a battle for 7th, 9th, and then this one, of course, for 12th place. It's nice to see that these guys are keeping each other nice and cozy, nice and company.
Maxwell's now under pressure from McRitchie, closed in here. This could be an absolute barnstorming final 10 laps. We've got the champion of Maxwell. We've got the new kid on the block. James McRitchie is going to be trying to fight here for this championship and try and have a go once more. Edwards pulls the gap back into Adam Ty as well, Zach. There's 2 battles materialising here. This could be very interesting final 10 laps.
I don't doubt it won't be. Ty, Edwards, Barry, they've been down each other's throats pretty much for the entire race. Well, exactly for the entire race. And this battle has been completely enthralling to watch. I think Ty and Edwards are breaking away from Barry. Maybe his tyres are starting to feel the effects of overdriving. That launch to the inside, as brave and as bold as it was and as close as it was to actually paying off, I don't think it's done him or his tyres much good, as he is dropping ever so slightly off the back of Edwards and Ty, so it might well turn itself into a 2-horse race in this fight for third, especially making those mistakes and allowing Edwards to close in. And again, it'll be interesting to see if McRitchie's able to go for the move on Maxwell, and oh my goodness me, a huge snap!
Wow! That was not what he needed to do, Adam Ty. He had driven flawlessly, and now James Barry's gone round as well. Barry's got in, trying to make that move past Adam Tighe due to that snap that we can see in front. James Barry tried to capitalise it, went up the inside, didn't get the car stopped, and then unfortunately around he went for James Barry there as well, and Adam Tighe said thank you very much. That is the break that Simon Edwards needed. That is the race really done for that. Simon Edwards 4.4 in front to try and gain 1 second behind, but McRitchie has pulled out nearly over a second. Try and close on Luke Maxwell here. Done a great job so far, Zach. Closed right up. You can see the lap times he's pulled in on him. Can he get him in the last 8? This is what's going to be all or nothing.
He's going to have to carry that momentum that he has been to close the gap from what it was to what it now is. And he can't stall, as we've said. I mean, it's so easy, like we saw with Edwards behind Tighe. I mean, you can sit behind them for laps after laps after laps, searching for an opportunity, and none will come. He has to ride the wave of his pace and be confident and just try and get this done as quickly as he can, because he's not got that much time. He's probably got less than 8 minutes to go in this race, even fewer opportunities along the way. Maxwell, he's in the driving seat, obviously both literally and figuratively, to win this race. He's comfortable, he's in his rhythm. Richie is the one potentially with that advantage to go for the win in terms of raw pace, but Maxwell, he's got the track position, got the fortress that is Tsukuba around him in order to stay ahead. He's got all the resources at his disposal to use. He's got to keep it pointing the right way.
Well, he pulled out 3 tenths over McRitchie that last time around. What's going on with James Barry? Well, he's got Damien G for company at the moment. Damien G here as well, trying to make sure that Barry doesn't get through this time though, Zach, as we can look over the right rear of Damien G. Into the hairpin we go. There is James Barry. Barry's obviously clearly got pace, but that, whoa, big snap there for Damien G, unfortunately, and that allows James Barry to go through. But look behind, you've got Bird, Gonzaga, Glover and Wynn fighting out with Paul Clark in there as well. Great little battles, and Gonzaga's trying to go up the inside of Jamie Bird. He's got to force his way through again. There's a lot of muscle in here, isn't there? There's a lot of like elbow swinging with these guys, trying to get these people off this line.
That's the way they've got to race though. Otherwise there's just not going to be any moves whatsoever. I mean, they can be all sunshine and rainbows and daisies and friendly, but not going to win them races. It's not going to gain them points. They've got to be aggressive, they've got to be cutthroat, like we saw with McRitchie at the end of race 1, like we saw with Barry, obviously on the inside of Edwards a little bit earlier on. You've got to have that merciless nature about you to win, to succeed. Gonzaga trying to go the long way around, but in fact going to cut back and get the apex later. Tries to put his foot down more effectively. It might well work out for him by the time they reach the final corner.
Gonzaga going in now as well. Maxwell's 2 attempts. Oh, contact! Oh, JB Bird and George Gonzaga. Gonzaga's going to let him back through. Great sportsmanship there as well. The question is, though, did he need to, or did the door just close on him? Oh no, Gonzaga's not nowhere near the curb, is he? Tight to the curb, I'd say he didn't really need to, but he wasn't really tight to the curb there, Zach.
Just drifted out ever so slightly, which is fair enough, but here we go for the fight for the lead. Richie, I should say, closed the gap really nicely. Let's see how soon, if we actually do end up getting a battle for the lead. The pressure is going to be on Maxwell because he knows full well that while, yes, he has led this race from start to finish, Richie's been able to close a gap. He is the one that's quicker of the two. Maxwell going to be feeling the pressure, and McRitchie, of course, going to be desperate, more desperate by each lap that goes through. Every corner that he stays behind Maxwell is a corner that's wasted in order to search for victory. But also, he's learning, he's looking at Maxwell, how he's driving, where he can exploit his strengths versus his weaknesses. And well, I hope that we have a good fight, especially, to be fair, as Edwards is closing in. Only 1.5 seconds now.
But Edwards had pace. Got held up with Adam Tighe, and I think Tighe making that mistake has just kind of released the ball in Edwards, and now Edwards is going to be trying to close down. But he's only got probably 3.5 minutes. In conjunction with the fact that his lap times are being knocked off at about 52, 51 seconds. Edwards pulls out another couple of attempts over the guys in front. In fact, nearly 8 attempts over Luke Maxwell, 9 attempts over James McRitchie. But there's definitely a hold-up process going on here with Maxwell. Definitely being a kind of cork in a bottle for James McRitchie. He does look like he's got the pace, and it does look like once he gets past Maxwell, he'll just drop Maxwell and put him into Edwards' hands. But Maxwell's holding on because of the lightness of the circuit.
Yeah, he is, and that's, you know, Tsukuba, really for you. You are able to just hold the station out in front and just hold your ground, defend it. And Maxwell, of course, entitled to do that. It's the fight for the win. You know, he's not exactly going to roll over, get his belly tickled, and enjoy being a pushover. He's going to fight tooth and nail for each position, even if he's got two incredibly quick drivers hammering him. Of course, the 5-time champion of Simon Edwards, and fighting for his 6th there in 3rd. That has got to be a lot of pressure on Maxwell's shoulders. McRitchie there as well in 2nd. Not that long left to go though, so at least that's going to be some sort of consolation for Maxwell, in the sense that there's not that long left, but it's going to drag on. It's going to feel like an eternity. Richie, the burden is that there's not long left to go, and that is where we could start to see some desperation creep in.
That's what I'm afraid of. Are we going to make a lunge that's going to possibly both of them, you know, the opportunity here as well? You've got to look after it. Luke Maxwell is a double champion. John McCutcheon is a triple champion. James McRitchie is the championship yet, but he's got to try and get himself involved in this. You know, he wants to be a part of this championship. This is the time he's got to shine. He unfortunately down quite a long way back. But McRitchie technically could sit back and say it's kind of a long way back to even think about winning the championship. But if he don't score points on the board, if he doesn't go for it, never going to know. You know, and that thing for McRitchie now got to make a determined. Oh, that is not going to help you. That is not what Luke Maxwell wanted going on to the final lap.
So, not long left to go. As you say, one more lap. He's going to be hoping that McRitchie and Edwards fight amongst 2nd place, but yeah, that's a shame for McRitchie, and I suppose a shame for Maxwell as well. 1 lap left to go, the white flag waves. Simon Edwards, though, that is crucial. He's defending into turn number 1. McRitchie tries to go the long way round. What a move this could be if he's able to pull it off, but he's not. The long way round is not the most effective way of taking turn number 1. Simon Edwards is able to hang on to it, but I think that is going to be some solace for Maxwell. It's 1 extra corner, and McRitchie bottles it. A podium at best for him. A shame. Maxwell now has only got 2 corners left to hang on from Edwards.
Driving so well, so well here as well was James McRitchie. Got to settle for 3rd. Maxwell's got to hang on for 1 final corner. Go on the defensive. Make Edwards think about what he's going to do. He's going to try and get the run. The line is literally here. He's not got far to go as well. Luke Maxwell does take the win in the feature race here as well. What about John McCutcheon? Doesn't get Adam Ty this time around. Gonzaga holds on. What's going to happen with Paul Clark and Phil Glover as they're on that run into the final corner here as well? Clark's going to look at bullying Glover. Glover's got to get that car stopped. Get round there, son, and have some of it as well. And there we go. Phil Glover does finish in 9th place there. Stellar job from him. Good work there from Phil Glover. And then basically everybody else coming over the line. So, yeah. Good race. Again, it wasn't quite the fireworks we expected because it was mainly marred by mistakes, Zach. But I think it's still a good race for these guys in general.
Yeah, I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed watching that. I'm sure these guys enjoyed racing it as well. It's just different, right? I mean, these radicals, you can take them to club style circuits, you can take them to Grand Prix circuits. Tsukuba is just its own category of circuit. As I say, it's just a glorified go-kart track. I think there are go-kart tracks that are bigger. So yeah, these guys enjoyed themselves, and in the end, it was Maxwell and Edwards.
Luke Maxwell took the victory with Simon Edwards, not far back at all. James McRitchie in 3rd, Adam Ty 4th, John McCutcheon in 5th, James Barry in Sergio Dela Cruz 7th, Damien G 8th, Phil Glover 9th, Paul Clark in 10th. George Gonzaga's going to be gutted. Threw away the win there as well. Jamie Bird in 12th, Colin Wynn 13th, Jeff McIntyre 14th, Robert Woodward and Alan Patterson take start. So a stellar run from these guys. It was absolutely amazing. I think one that overall they can all be happy with here, and I look forward to having a chat with the drivers, which we can do right away, and have a chat with Luke Maxwell here as well. Up 2 places, Luke. Let's have a chat about the first race there, buddy. Welcome in, by the way. Sorry, how are you? Luke? Luke? I can't. Luke, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah. Permissions again, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've requested it times. How are you, dear sir, first off? Race 1?
Glad that's over, I think, is a fair fair assessment.
Did you not
Don't
like
that
that? No? Not your favourite?
No. I was tweaking the setup in the practice and made it a lot worse than I had in my previous practice. So I had an awful... I don't know, it felt okay until towards the end of the session, and then I just kept losing the rear and thought, what's changed? All I've done is gone and had a coffee and come back, and then couldn't drive for toffee. So, yeah, I went back in the second race to the original set. I still didn't have the pace, so couldn't hold the rear, but managed to hold on the end, so got to be chuffed, I suppose.
Race 1.
I think I went round twice, didn't I? Locked up twice. Yeah.
Not good for you, sir. All right, let's have a realistic conversation right about now. Where do you see yourself in conjunction with the championship? At the moment, you're in 13th. You're a mighty long way back, nearly 100 points away from Simon Edwards already. Do you think you're done already?
Yeah, probably, but some good tracks coming. So, yeah, I've missed 2 and been terrible at Spa. So, Spa's going to be my drop round, hopefully, and everything else should be better than that. So, yeah, I think Simon's been on massively good form. You know, the start of the season, he's out driving fantastically. He seems to be, his car's on rails. He's doing really well. So, yeah, I think it'll be a struggle to catch him. But there's a long way to go. All sorts can happen, can't it, throughout the whole season. So, although I'm not probably, thinking I'm in contention, you never know by the end of it.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one, because although I love to sit back and say, you've got an opportunity, Luke, obviously whatever can happen to other drivers, but they're never at the moment this far into a lot happening. Simon Edwards, really, he's driving well within his ability, well within the pace of the car, and as you say, the car looks like it's on rails.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair play. He's doing a terrific job, and good luck to him. But I'll be trying my best as well. I'm sure, obviously, between John, James, and the others, we're all going to push as hard as we can. So,
well, a stellar job from you there, Luke. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before I let you go this evening?
The organisers of the league. I mean, they've done a lot of effort this week into point systems and stewarding and so on, and it's cracking really. I just didn't know if I picked up any points in the first race because I was so bad.
Oh, I'm sure you might have got some there. So well done for you, Luke. Have a good one, buddy, and I look forward to catching up with you on Monday.
Cheers, guys. Yeah.
Take care. Next up, we're going to have a chat with Simon Edwards here as well. He went out and decided he was going to go and win race 1. Then he had a coming to race 2, and there was a movable roadblock of Adam Ty that probably just prevented him getting the win in the feature. But let's see his side of it. Simon, welcome in, dear sir.
Good evening. I enjoyed that.
Did you like that, sir?
I'm not a big fan of the circuit, but because I had something to fight for, it makes it interesting. And, well, not just fight for, I had to keep somebody behind me. Trying to fight Adam, trying to stop James. It was great fun.
Yeah, you're in that middle group, weren't you? In that middle of the two, and it was very difficult because James was looking very, very bold, should we say, with some of his manoeuvres.
Yeah, I managed to avoid his big one. Just a tiny touch, but we both got away with that. It was going to be very difficult to get past Adam, and lucky he made a mistake.
Yeah, that was...
and I nearly got the win. You could see how much more pace I had than most people, yeah.
Adam, did he kind of put a roadblock to your charge, didn't he? He was driving so well, and we were praising him up here as well. And that one mistake where he hit the grass after turn one, did you sit back and think, oh, yes?
That's exactly what I thought. I was making sure he wasn't going to flip back and come back the other way first. But yeah, I thought when I got next to him a couple of times, he's only on a single monitor and he moves over on you, so he scares the life out of you in VR because you can see him coming. So it's a bit, it's just one of those things we've got to deal with. But yeah, so I thought I could get around the outside of him on T1. I tried a couple of times, but I slightly messed my traction up mid corner. So I would have just carried on trying to put him off, really.
Definitely, unfortunately, get put off there as well. You're kind of got a bit of a gap in the championship. Your cars just seem to be hooked up. Every setup that you're running is train on rails. It's incredible. You're driving out of your skin over the first 5 rounds. You know, you're looking unstoppable. What is it for you at the moment that's going so?
Well, as long as somebody doesn't praise me and jinx me.
I didn't even touch you during that race, I've got to be honest.
No, it's fine. I mean, I've been running effectively the same setup all season, you know, mechanically. Just very slight ride height changes and downforce, either low or high. So I've sort of found my working setup. So I'm not having to work too hard at the beginning of the week to make a setup. And then I'm deliberately not over practicing. So I'm doing maybe 2 practice sessions of an hour and a half, and maybe helps coaching some other people rather than if I over practice, I start to then try and hot lap every lap. And when I get to that, I can start making mistakes. Whereas if I'm slightly under practiced or about the right practiced, I leave a tiny margin, which in the end, you know, gives me time. So I think that's the difference this season at the moment. And luck, a bit of luck as well.
Yeah, you're doing a stellar job, mate. I've got no words at the way that you're driving. It's amazing. But Simon, well done again there, buddy. A race win and a 2nd place. Anyone you want to shout out before I let you go?
I'll give a shout out to Adam there. He did well. Didn't do anything too nuts. I know people have been criticising him recently, but there was nothing protestable or anything like that. That was quite a good battle, and with James as well, even with his dive bomb, I quite enjoyed watching him come past me. So yeah, both of those really.
Awesome stuff, Simon. Well, thanks so much for joining us there, bud, and we look forward to having a chat with you next week. Take care, mate.
See you then.
Bye. And next up for a conversation, Mr. James McRitchie here as well. James, welcome into the booth. How are you?
Hi, I don't seem to be able to hear you. I think that's my fault. I don't know what's going on.
Oh.
So yeah, that's not good, is it?
No, because you can't hear what I'm saying.
Don't know why.
Get your output.
It's connected. So I'll just say it was a good race for Simon. I thought I'd had him beat for the first time in my whole career. And I threw the first race away. Sorry guys, I can't hear you, but thanks for the broadcast. And I don't know what's going on why I can't hear anybody, but there you go. Story of my life.
Okay.
Thanks to you guys, and I'll see you next week. Short and sweet. I'll try and fix my sound. I don't know what's going on. That's all I've got to say, really. Just gutted to let Simon pass when I did. Would have beaten for the first time in my whole career. Never mind.
All right, mate. Take care. I'm speaking. You can't hear me. Okay, James, thanks so much. All right, let's have a chat with Phil Glover, as James seems to have issues with his microphone there as well. It was good to hear from him, but unfortunately we didn't get to do a such there. But let's have a chat with Phil here as well. Phil, 11th place in race 1, 9th in round 2. How was it for you?
It was very intense, wasn't it? It's a great track. I really enjoyed it, but motorbike riders normally get arm pump. I'm feeling I've got arm pump in my forearms. So, yeah, it wasn't too shabby, was it?
No, you did a great job, and I think overall it was a good race for you. You've kept it going in the right direction, than probably some people managed to do.
Yeah, managed to keep Mr. Clark behind me as well, so that was I gave him a bit of his medicine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like I said to you before, with coaching from Simon, it'll take a while for it to all sink in, but I think very slowly my times are getting better. I mean, just looking at the times that I did in the feature race, I was about 0.6 of a second off Simon's quickest time, so that's not too. It's a short track,
but you did well.
I did well. Yeah. I'll take that one.
Yeah, you definitely will, there, buddy. Well, it's been as awesome as ever talking to you, Bill, as well. Anyone you want to shout out before I let you go?
Well, obviously Simon for all the coaching, and Jamie banged into me, but such is the quality of drivers on this grid. He immediately apologised and gave me back the position. So that's the kind of people we are here, which makes it worthwhile every time getting involved each week.
Well, Simon, thank you. Phil, sorry, thank you so much for joining us there, buddy, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep, will do.
Take care.
Cheers. Bye.
Well, there you go, Zach. Happy drivers. Shame we didn't really get to talk to McRitchie there as well, but he did say his nearly stuff like that. So overall, good evening to racing.
Yeah, all in all, I think it was, as you say, a really enjoyable one. I always enjoy coming to do the radicals whenever there's an opportunity to. I don't really ever hesitate to say no if I'm available. It's, yeah, to say yes, I suppose. I'll always hesitate to say no. I won't ever hesitate to say yes, I suppose. So yeah, cheers, Ewan, for being stuck, going to the Netherlands. Really appreciate it. And yeah, once again, thanks to the Radical guys for putting on such a good evening, because, yeah, great racing as per.
Absolutely. And I think it's one evening that we can sit back and fully enjoy here as well, because it has been absolutely amazing. We've got more racing coming up on the JPB channel this week as well. We've got the Triple P Xfinity round 1 kicking off later on this evening. JPB cars are back on Friday. Then we got more triple bypass racing for their GT and GT3 series. That should be a good one. The iFormula return round 1 from Silverstone with their Super Formula cars, and then it's the F3s on Sunday. iFormula first earlier on, and the IGP F3s later on from there. So still a lot more coming up, guys, as well. So sit back and enjoy. Don't forget, like, subscribe, turn on the bells. That would be absolutely amazing. But from myself, I've been James Parfitt alongside Zach Sweeney. You all take care. Have a great week. No, back sometime. Good night.